Garoppolo. Thrown down. Brian Burns gets there. Spider-Man.
What a pass rush by Burns. See how quickly he got to the edge and got
This is Desmond Johnson on the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast, here on the Bleav Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals. Do you Bleav? If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. We're available in your favorite directories: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, and TuneIn. You can also find us at Bleav.com and at Bleav Podcast on Twitter.
And welcome into a brand new edition of the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast. I am Desmond Johnson, joined by Sports Illustrated beat writer Schuyler, Callihan, and the Panthers' all-time lead rusher Jonathan Stewart, who apparently has grown 2.5 feet since last week when we had this episode. There he is. What's up, man? What's going on, Jay Stew in the house?
Showed off the goatee. That's all.
But hey man, we're chilling tonight. We decided to wait a couple of days to get out of Saturday's funk that the Carolina Panther fan base kind of put upon themselves after the 27-0 loss to the New York Football Jets on Saturday afternoon at Bank of America Stadium. We'll get into that. Practice, everything goes on. Schuyler's been watching practice. We'll get an update on how the Panthers have bounced back from that. Of course, it's Tell Em Why Youre Mad. So if you've got a reason to be mad, and I have a feeling we're going to get a bunch of those tonight. If you've got a reason to be mad at the Panthers or anything, just hit us up here. You can actually participate in the show by typing in your comments or your requests on youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio or on Facebook at Facebook Watch underneath the Tobacco Road Sports Radio page. Got some audio. Going to do some respond react today. I wanted to put some audio, not from the most recent press conference, but I wanted it raw, like right after the game. So I went back and found a couple of clips from head coach Frank Reich and from starting quarterback Bryce Young that we'll respond to. But before we get into any of that, I want to get Stu and Schuyler's reactions to their just instant reactions to what they saw now that there's been a couple of days in between. Before we get to that, though, a quick word from our sponsors over at BetOnline. BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code Bleav, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And where we start is the 27-0 Week 1 preseason. I need to keep saying that throughout the show. The preseason loss for the Carolina Panthers. A lot to take away from this, or maybe not a lot at all to take away from this. Stu, I'll start with you. From the player perspective, the former player perspective, watching that game, what were your thoughts?
I think, obviously preseason. So everyone just hold your horses, pump the brakes. But I mean, there's some players that, I look at the offensive line. We got the #1 draft pick. Their job is to protect him at all costs. I think once the starters, got their run, the depth at offensive line, it has to be better.
I think we're gonna spend some time on that today.
Yeah. I mean, as an offensive guy and playing running back, you always pride yourself with the guys up front. If you got some dogs up front, you can sleep a little bit easier at night. And, I just want to make sure that, because injuries happen, and it's a long season. Our depth, I mean, we saw Cam Irving and Michael Jordan have some issues, game 1. It needs to be addressed. And I'm pretty sure, the offensive line coach ain't with that. So I'm sure they got a talking to, James Campen, he seems like an old school guy that saw that and, takes pride in what he does. And, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to pride. What we want to see, throughout this preseason is guys that have a sense of urgency, but a sense of pride in what they put out there, because guys are fighting for jobs. And if you don't want to come and play, and you don't want to do your job, somebody else will.
It's going to show up on tape for sure. And a couple of guys, notable guys, showed up on tape on Saturday that Panther fan base latched onto. Maybe I jinxed them because I actually mentioned Cam Irvin last week.
You really did.
He just flashed on the screen. I was like, oh, no, Cam Irvin. No, man, come on. Not 2 weeks in a row. I got to mention your name again.
I will say, though, bright spot for me, there's 2 bright spots. I loved seeing Bryce Young go through the progression to Thielen, knowing he was about to get blasted.
Yeah.
just be able to stick it in there and I'm about to get hit. Let me just get rid of the ball through my progressions. It was like it was a good feeling to see him so composed, through the lack thereof protection. And then the brightest spot to me, was number 83, Derek Wright.
Ooh.
That man needs to be. If it was up to me, suiting up every game. And I'm just gonna say that out right now. I'm saying that out loud. I don't know how you got to make it happen, but the way he was, coming back to the ball, on the hitch routes, like he understands positioning. He understands his awareness as a receiver. He just gets it. And when you have guys out there as targets that just understand spacing and understand, the down and distance, I mean, that's what he showcased, Saturday. That was a weird occasion watching preseason during the day. That's weird. But yeah, man, I would say those are my 2 bright spots. And then the obvious was just you gotta get better at offensive line.
Schuyler, what were your thoughts? You were actually at BOA watching this game, and you watched pretty much all of training camp down in Spartanburg. How surprised were you at the way the Panthers played Saturday, or were you surprised at all?
I was definitely surprising for sure. I was ready to get up out of there by about start of the 3rd quarter. That's just me. I mean, it was a game.
Yeah, I was fighting with the remote a little bit at that point. I'm like, I don't know if I need to. Yeah.
I will give Stu some credit though on the Derek Wright thing, because I was going back and forth on my prediction for the 53-man roster. I do it every Sunday leading up to cut day. And I was on the last spot, and I was like, man, who do I give this spot to? I was back and forth between like 3 guys. And I was like, I was almost going to text you guys and get your opinion just to throw you guys in the mix. And I was like, wait a minute. Stu said something about Derek Wright. I like Derek Wright. I think it makes sense. So I gave him the final spot. So there you go. Derek Wright, courtesy of Jason.
Hey.
Yeah, man. Derek Wright, listen to me. He all right in my book. I don't know if he's going to play here. He's going to play somewhere.
All right. So,
go ahead.
I think from the game, we keep hearing about the offensive line. We hear about how vanilla the offense was. And I just started thinking, actually, as you guys were talking, I almost wonder if, and again, I have no idea. Only the offensive line can explain what went on. But I almost wonder if having such a vanilla offense or having such a vanilla offensive game plan can cause an entire offensive line unit to just kind of play a little too laxed. Because what we heard from James Camp today was it was all fundamental. That's all it was. Hand placement, technique, all this other stuff. It was just all about fundamentals. So it was nothing about fitting into certain places or anything like that. It wasn't about aggressiveness or physicality. It was just straight up fundamentals. So I wonder if those 2 things can kind of go hand in hand when you have a vanilla game plan and you get a little laxed on your technique or your fundamentals. I just wonder about that. So
I think really it boils down to a little bit of when you're running in my mindset, if it's just basic vanilla, that's where you're supposed to just be really sharp and really great at fundamentals.
Just beat your
so
man.
You either just getting your butt whooped and handed to you fundamentally, or you whooping the other guys behind fundamentally.
Which is possible with that Jets front 7. I mean, that may be one of the best.
I was about to say.
Yeah, they wouldn't even our starters.
They had their work cut out. I can tell you that because the Jets.
That defense is stout.
That defense looks real good. And now they know they got somebody on offense that can keep them off the field too and stay fresh.
That's
Listen,
I tried not to buy into that hype because I was like, man, like are the Jets going to be like the Broncos were a year ago? I don't get that at all. Like the more I keep thinking about it, I'm like, this Jets team is legit Super Bowl good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just weird to say Jets and Super Bowl in the same sentence. But
they just signed Dalvin Cook today.
They were good. They were good last year. I mean,
yeah. They couldn't keep a quarterback.
What's the head coach name?
Robert Saleh.
Yeah, Saleh.
Came from 49ers.
49ers. Ever since he got there, he changed the program.
I need to watch. Is it a new episode of Hard Knocks come out, or is that Thursday? Yeah. Oh, it is. Is that? Are we on that one? Are the Panthers on that one yet? Or will be okay, yeah. So I'll take care of that tonight. So here's my thought. I was having a rough day of it to begin with because my car battery died like right at 3 p.m. So I'm sitting in front of an AutoZone.
What kind of car you drive?
I got an Equinox, but like the battery was like 5 years old. I didn't know it. I stopped someplace, turned it off, came back in the fire lane. It wouldn't start. I'm like, come on, man. The game is in like 30 minutes. Like I cleared the whole day so I could watch it. So I started listening to it on the radio. I finally got to the house. And my first thought actually was that Frank Reich is pulling a Chuck Daly. Like, if you've ever heard this story before, the 92 Olympic team, when they were practicing before they went off to Barcelona, Chuck Daly, the head coach, who was the coach of the Pistons, basically threw a practice pretty much. It was like all these college stars like Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill, Chris Webber, all these dudes that were still in college, and they were playing against, Magic, Bird, Jordan, the Dream Team. And they won that scrimmage. And if you go back and watch that Dream Team documentary, if you ask Coach K, who was an assistant coach on that team, he just looks at the camera. He's like, "Come on, man! Chuck threw the game. He threw it for a reason. Because they weren't getting along. He wanted to have something on film to point out to them that they need to do to play better. He was like, look how often he played Michael Jordan in that scrimmage. Like Jordan's sitting on the side like the whole time, pretty much. Like, look how he did his rotations. Like." He threw the game. And then the next day, they came back, and the 92 team beat them by like 80 points or something like that, and Jordan played. And, I mean, this is 92 Jordan, so this is a whole other thing. But my point was, I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, is Frank Reich kind of, at a certain point in this game, is he just kind of like letting this game go? And then I had another thought. I thought made even more sense. That game Saturday was Thursday practice, the one they didn't have. Because if you remember, everything we heard coming out of Wednesday's practice, and Schuyler, you can back this up, was that the Panthers beat the brakes off the Jets during that practice on Wednesday. So the Jets had Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning in Charlotte or Spartanburg, shout out to Monster Subs, to think about what happened on Wednesday. So when Saturday got there, the Jets are looking at this like it's a comeback game, like it's a revenge game. Like, we just saw y'all 3 days ago. We're going to show y'all what we really are. And the Panthers probably went into it thinking, well, we just beat up on these dudes 3 days ago. Like, we don't need to really show much else. The starters ain't going to really play. Mentally, they're not even in that mindset to play a full 60 minutes of football. And it just showed. Like, it just, execution-wise, all the little things that we're talking about, execution, hand placement, all the stuff they should know by now, they weren't doing that. So to me, I'm like, why wouldn't they be doing that Saturday with the lights on when they've been doing it all preseason? Well, all training camp, pretty much. We've been hearing nothing but glowing reviews. I think that the Panthers came into it thinking, we good, we already showed what we could do. And the Jets came into it thinking, let us show you what we can do, because Wednesday wasn't exactly what we are. Is that plausible? Is basically what I'm giving to the court. That was Thursday's practice? It never happened.
I'm gonna tell you this: preseason game is a preseason game. There's a difference between the speed of guys moving on that field preseason. There's a different speed of the first 4 games of the season. There's a different speed of the last 4 games of the season. There's a different speed for playoffs, and there's a totally different speed for Super Bowl.
Yeah,
different speeds. But you out there playing football, I'm gonna tell you that, and you want to win, and that's different than practice. So I don't want people thinking that preseason just like practice. No. This is a dress rehearsal for a game, and like for like a regular season game. Like, guys are out there trying to win this because they're trying to win a spot on the team. They're playing for their families. They're playing to keep a job. To be promoted. Like, it's not just willy-nilly out there.
Yeah.
But I will say, you can go to sleep at the wheel if you feel like you did something.
And that was something I was going to ask you as a player, the difference between preseason and week one, because it did feel like the Panthers were kind of just going through the motions, I guess.
And I think think about it. Think about it like this: the Jets already had their first preseason game.
Right, that was game 2 for them.
So like they probably have already gone through their kinks of like, what it's like to travel or, to stay in a hotel as a unit, and there's a lot to it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to make any excuses because at the end of the day, athletes are athletes. You play a game to win. But it's nothing to put any weight on because at the end of the day, it's a preseason game. You just want your guys to go in there, get the reps, move around, get hit somebody, figure out who's good, who's not, like, strategize or whatever. But main thing, you want to get guys out of there healthy. Period. Point.
For the most part, they did that on Saturday. Schuyler, what were you about to say? I'm gonna run this clip from.
We talked about, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, about how Frank wanted Bryce to try some things, right? Really challenge himself. I wonder, Stu, this may be something you can answer, even from an offensive line standpoint, because that was obviously the biggest talking point of the game. How much can guys really try new things or try to work on things that they're maybe not so sharp in preseason games, and they focus so much on that it leads to what happened on last Saturday?
You talking about him going into practice, trying new things, and then converting it into the game?
Yeah, not so much Bryce. I mean, we heard Frank talk about that with Bryce, saying like the O-line doing that in the game on Saturday, maybe trying different things with their technique or fundamentals.
I feel like guys can get too technical. You know what I'm saying? But like they still had some type of game plan. You know what I'm saying? So if guys are showing up on game day thinking too much, that means they weren't prepared. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so that could be a little bit of what's going on because you're in training camp. Guys are exhausted. Like this isn't like regular season, practices. I mean, these guys are going at it. It's hot out. Your bodies are taxed, and you're uncertain of a lot of things, especially the guys that know that they're fighting for a spot on the team. So if you got limited reps, you might be out there doing maybe too much. Just play within yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do anything crazy. Just play within what you are capable of and have that confidence knowing that you can do the job.
Muscles Marinara says Barna was my bright spot on Saturday. Bro claimed his roster spot. Yeah, I thought he looked pretty good. Getting a sack. They're going to need that depth at that position. Keep in mind, too, Burns didn't play. Haynes has been injured. Houston's only been there 4 days. He didn't play. Like, we didn't play with a full complement of defense because I've seen people like, you can't let a team score 27 points on you in the preseason. I'm like, it happens all the time. Didn't we do it on somebody last year? If I'm not mistaken. Like, I mean, we dropped 27 on somebody. It meant nothing.
If there was that much value in preseason games, they would have kept that one preseason game and we would have 4.
And they'd be charging a whole lot more for them. It'd be on TV and it'd be the preseason.
I mean, isn't there already talk, or at least there was like a little bit of rumors that floated around about cutting it to 2 and then making the regular season 18? Like, I thought I heard that.
That sounds like something they do.
I would favor to keep it at 3 because I do see value in preseason games, and it's for exactly what you saw, for the Panthers, on Saturday. You got to get these guys a chance to, get some dress rehearsals under the belt, play with each other, understand what everyone can do before the season starts. Because once the season starts, you got probably 3 games to figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you don't figure it out in 3 games, you're gonna get left behind.
I'm with you,
like last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just see the value in it too. I always look at preseason like I don't care what team you are. When you start the regular season, or not the regular season, when you start training camp, you probably have a pretty good idea of who your top, 45, 50 guys are. Like, the roster's kind of set for the most part. Preseason to me is all about those last 5, 6, 7 slots that can be that dude, that Victor Cruz that has that preseason that everybody, like, have you seen that dude for the Giants? Like, nobody knew who he was. And then he flashed in the preseason, became a starter, became a millionaire. It feels like it's that kind of thing. I don't know if
I don't know if you cut a third one, because that third game now has become the fourth game where that fourth game was pretty much those dudes that are going to make a roster. They're basically auditioning for other teams at that point. You might have a guy that you're still trying to decide on that last roster spot, but by the time you get to the fourth game, it feels like you already know you're 52. You already know who's going to practice squad. Like, you kind of already have it in there, so you don't really need it. I think they need more of these joint practices. I think those are more valuable than the preseason games because they're actually getting after it. That Wednesday practice versus the Jets.
That was heated.
Yeah, it was probably one of the best practices the Panthers have had because they were playing against somebody else. And by now, I'm sure everybody's heard my story. I'm going down to Spartanburg. I actually went previously on Bleav in Carolina Panthers. I was talking about going to Spartanburg to see the practice. Overslept Wednesday morning because I only had like 4 hours of sleep. Decided my plan B was going to be to go down to Spartanburg, spend the night Wednesday night, get up early Thursday morning, ride over there to Wofford, watch the practice. So I had it all figured out. Everything was cool. Got a hotel on hotels.com. It was a red roof inn, so that was mistake number one. The joint looked like it was in Myrtle Beach. It was crazy. Like, I mean, there's a big no smoking sign.
The roof.
And there's
The
cigarette
roof is
burns
on
and,
fire.
like, bedspread, and like it's crazy. So I'm sitting there fearing for my life, sitting in this hotel room in Spartanburg. And then I wake up the next morning and we're under a severe weather alert for like the period of time the practice is supposed to be. And I'm still thinking, well, they're not going to just cancel practice. The Jets came all the way down here. They'll just move it to noon or 1 o'clock. It's going to be 80 degrees. It'll be great. I did not know that it was the last day of training camp and the Panthers were probably ready to go home. So it was around about 8 o'clock or so.
Yep.
Canceled practice. Sent all the Panthers back to Charlotte. So I'm sitting in this hotel room in Spartanburg, like, what did I just do?
Went there to go get a sub sandwich.
So yeah, I had to go get a sub sandwich. So like I said, shout out to Monster Subs and Grub. They ended up being the reason for the season. So I went down and got a sandwich from them, and it was fantastic. But I saw the Jets practice anyway, so I'm thinking, well, maybe I can go see the Jets because I'm already here, closed to the public. So I basically went down, spent 2 days of my week, and basically did nothing in Spartanburg. And to be honest, there's nothing to do in Spartanburg once you get there. There's nothing. There's a Waffle House. There's a couple of like hotels and there's Wofford. And Wofford looks like it was plopped down in the middle of Spartanburg, like it wasn't there, and they just like put it in the middle.
They got the Olive Garden over there by the freeway and the Walmart.
That's all. I mean, that's all it was. So that was my training camp experience. I want to get to these audio quotes from Frank Reich and Bryce Young, and again, I pulled from Saturday. I wanted it raw. Like, I wanted to hear it from like right after the game what they were thinking. Here was the first one from Frank Reich in terms of learning from the experience.
How do you put this in perspective when you had such a good practice and then you're not able to?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that question because, right, I mean, it's hard. I mean, you don't like getting shut out and getting beat 27-0. But I have a lot of years in this league that tell me that preseason scores aren't the most meaningful thing. So not that we're not accountable for that, we are, but it's not the most important thing right now. It's just not. We're trying to evaluate our team. We're trying to, some of it is, listen, this is by design. I mentioned this the other day. We're very generic now. We did nothing, in our scheme, nothing. That's not an excuse. I expected us to do a lot. So we kept it simple so that we could do a lot, so that we didn't have to think much, so that we could just evaluate one-on-one play. And so we need to do better there. But as a coaching staff, we really didn't make it. We weren't trying to put the guys in the best position, the whole game with really in any phase. So I'm not saying that they were. I don't know what their game plan was. I just know what our philosophy has been, what my philosophy has been in preseason. And when you're a new coaching staff, I just don't want to show too much. But some teams don't know the things we're going to do. And there's some of it I'm willing to take I'm willing to take it on the chin a little bit in preseason to hide some things that we're going to do in the regular season.
The one thing I heard in there was that this was all by design. And that was where I kind of got to the whole Frank Reich kind of threw that game. Like, he knew that they weren't going to win that game running, 2-yard outs and 4 verts.
He just wanted to see guys if they can whoop another guy's behind.
Yeah,
that's
no plan.
What he said.
Just show up. Let's see what we can do. We're just gonna have these 4 Tecmo Bowl plays, and that's it. Nothing else.
Can you run somebody over? Can you outrun someone? Can you block someone? Can you shed a defender? Can you tackle?
And they found out for some people,
catch?
the answer was no. No, they cannot. So, and I did see James Campion. They was this before the Frank Reich meeting, after the game? Like, he got the whole stuff with him pulling the offensive line into a separate meeting. That was after they had all met together. Then he pulled them off to the side, or
James Cameron pulled them together?
Yeah, this was after the game.
After the game. Yeah, it was after
the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
We walked in the locker room and there was not an offensive lineman in sight.
I told you. What I say?
They were talking. They were getting.
I just said that, man. He's seen 2 old schools and just let that slide.
And then I saw a video from practice. Was it today? Was it today or yesterday? It might have been today. Where they were showing the offensive line doing reps, and they had Michael Jordan holding the bag or whatever. So he was the one that was having to hold it while everybody was doing their reps or whatnot. So I kind of feel like I was almost half expecting one of them to be cut, like at the beginning of this week. Like, because I feel like this coaching staff is no nonsense. Like, they're the type to set an example of somebody to me. Like, and that was a pretty good place to set an example by letting one of them go. But they're kind of thin right there. So I kind of got it. But hey, their eyes are going to be watching them Friday night versus the Giants, because they have another outing like that. You messing with the franchise. You messing with Bryce. Like, that one that Icky just missed that stun on, where
he whiffed on.
Yeah, Christian did the right thing, but Icky just missed this guy completely, and it was just a free shot on Bryce. And you can't have that. I don't care what size Bryce is. You can't have dudes just running unabated in the backfield, clean shot. Like, that's how dudes get hurt. Like, for real. Like, you can't do that. And I was surprised it was Icky, because Icky's one of our better linemen. So I don't know what happened there.
Man, the offensive lineman just got to treat the quarterback position like it's a house.
Yeah.
You know, would you want a car running into your house? No.
Absolutely not. And I mean, and we talked about it, they'd probably be more prone to want to protect him because of his size and the words with all that and everything else. That didn't necessarily appear. I'm wondering if there's going to be a different, like a shuffling of that position as we go on. And I'm curious how long they're going to play Bryce this upcoming Friday, because I imagine they're going to play him a little bit more. And we did mention this. The Jets are going to probably be a top 5 team in the NFL. Their defense might be, honestly, thinking about their defense might be the best defense in the NFL, like, or the best one we'll see. No joke. Like, they are business. And now they got, if they keep Aaron Rodgers healthy all year, you just added Dalvin Cook, got the offensive rookie year at wide receiver, Sauce is at cornerback. Like, they can. We've seen this before, where a team flips in like a year. The Rams just did it a couple years ago, where they just got everything in right. They got the right coach. They got a quarterback, and they went to the Super Bowl. So we'll see. One more quote for head coach Frank Reich here regarding the quick throws from Bryce Young.
In this game, there was a plan to, we didn't really, everything was pretty much get it out, quick throw. The biggest hit that he took was, on one, he had worked through his progression, got a completion on the backside. And, we got had a nice little completion, but had to work through the progression and, and got hit. And then, like I said, the 2 sacks were, we'll see it on tape, but it felt like they were a little bit coverage sacks, like it, nothing popped early, and, the pocket just kind of squeezed. But I got to go back and look at the tape.
That was a question I was going to ask both of you guys. The one thing I did notice, it didn't feel like the receivers were getting much separation, which was a bit of a surprise. But Schuyler, did you notice that watching it in person?
Oh, absolutely, right away. Yeah, I noticed it from the very beginning that they were not getting separation early, or at least early enough for Bryce to make any quick reads or quick throws. And really, I think that's the one thing that if you want to find the positive in all this, is at least it wasn't Bryce that looked overwhelmed or not ready or prepared and just looked absolutely out of whack. And because I think we all know, when this offensive line is completely healthy and they're all playing together for 4 quarters, that's not what the offensive line is going to look like.
Right. Yeah.
And you could kind of see too, in those 3 drives, there was an emphasis to really kind of see what they had in Bryce. And obviously, again, it's still a vanilla game plan, but they wanted to get Bryce's reps in and move on. In a normal game setting, I don't think that's what it's going to be like. They're going to run the ball first, open up the passing game for their rookie quarterback, and that's going to set the tone by running the ball. So it's going to be a completely different attitude with those 5 up front, regardless of who's at right guard whether it's Austin Corbett, whenever he gets healthy, Cade Mays, or whoever, that's not the same game plan that they're going to have entering a game. So I think you'd rather take that than the alternative of Bryce not being ready and the offensive line looks great, because then that would be absolute doomsday scenario.
I agree with that. Stu, you got anything on Bryce? I thought Bryce was like a seasoned vet. I was kind of surprised at that.
Listen,
I kind of wouldn't.
Bryce, I ain't worried about Bryce.
Yeah, I ain't worried about him at all. He's the least
Bryce
of my
Bryce Young is a future star.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not just because he was drafted number 1, but because he's like that first game, his composure and just the way he was on the sideline with his teammates. Like, he's a leader.
Yeah.
And like, that's what you need at this position. You need a quarterback that is going to lead, but he's going to lead in his own way. And you can see he's doing things his own way. And it's, I mean, guys are, I love the videos that I see of him, chirping with, the defensive guys.
Like
Brian Burns.
Yeah.
Like the relationship that's being built there, the chemistry of being able to go to practice and go to, battle with your guys. Like, you're going to make me better and I'm going to make you better. And I'm going to talk junk while we're doing it because we a family. And like, that's that bonding, that I don't really feel like the Panthers have experienced in the last 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have a guy that people want to follow. You can want to be a leader all you want, but unless people actually want to follow you, that's different.
That reminds
it's
me.
Like it goes back to this house thing. If you got a nice house, you got windows, you got heat, you got air conditioning, you got running water, you got a nice house. You don't want nobody just coming up in there and messing it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
For no reason. Just
for no reason.
Just stop.
Bryce Young is a nice house. Don't have these fools coming up in there messing it up.
Just
that reminds me of
you must protect this house.
The really nice car with the crappy thing over the top of it on Twitter. You see it all the time.
What?
You've never seen the meme on Twitter?
No.
It's like something that's really nice and you surround it with like a bad team or something. It's like this really nice Ferrari or whatever it is, and there's this crap thing that covers it up. It's like a really bad garage or something. But anyway, that's a perfect point though. Like, Bradley Bozeman said it, I think it may have been the night of FanFest, that like when Bryce steps in the huddle, everybody shuts up and they listen to him. I don't know that you would have got that out of Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield or whoever else was at quarterback the last 3 years. That it felt like during those 3 seasons, it was almost like forced for guys to start going and having conversations with the quarterback on the sideline and looking to him for answers or tips or what he's looking for. Where here with Bryce, guys are just going over willingly and asking and talking to him, and it's night and day from what it was the last 3 years.
You do sense that sense of camaraderie more with this unit than the previous 3 years, and I touched on that before, where it's like the past 3 years felt like competition. It felt like college. Like you're not necessarily together; you're just underneath the brand. But like every once in a while you will have a team that's together. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same thing. But like in pros, it's like
when you have stability too at certain spots, like especially quarterback. Like if you're playing on a team and you don't really know what the quarterback's future is going to be, like a Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield, you're probably not going to have that same level of intensity when it comes to protecting that guy or playing for that guy. But when you got Bryce Young and he is your franchise dude for the next 12, 15 years, you better play your what off.
Your money's yeah. Like your checks.
Play your what off? Say it. What you was about to say? Play your buttocks off?
Yeah. I think Bleav said we're allowed like one swear word per show, so we can count that one as it going towards it. You can participate in this show if you're watching right now. Like super fan Jamie Revis says he's talking about the picture of like a Ferrari underneath a carport and a trailer.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
All right, I got you. Yeah, okay, now I see that.
Yeah. I don't have a job of describing it, but yes.
I pulled some more audio from Bryce Young, who I think all 3 of us were pretty impressed with him in his limited time out there. I mean, he had a couple 3-and-outs. They got like a first down on that first drive, but for the most part, he just didn't really have enough time to do anything from what I saw. here's Bryce here at first talking about accountability for not just him, but for the team as a whole.
Yeah, it was just, lack of execution. Starting with myself again, there's things that I definitely could have done better. I think us as a unit, we all take accountability and we all, look in the mirror first. And, we talked to, Coach Reich made that point, with us in the locker room of, us being a team and a unit that looks in the mirror and takes accountability. And, that's what we put out on tape. That's what we had. So now we have to figure out, we have to learn from it. We have to own it and, look to get better. But again, it's a team effort. It's all of us, top to bottom. Again, we take complete accountability of what happened. So obviously, we want to improve and be better.
Boy, that's refreshing to hear. After
He
the past couple of years.
He understands the assignment, fellas.
I like it.
Accountability. Look yourself in the mirror. See the man in the mirror. Ask that man in the mirror, did you do your part?
Yeah, the thing too that strikes me with him, it sounds like he's done this before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds like he's already been here. Like, he's been on the big stages, having to answer these questions at press conferences.
I mean, he was at Alabama
college. Yeah, I mean, he's done all this, so none of this really phases him. And I think a lot of people expect it to phase him, but that's what made him the number one pick. Like, that's what put him over everyone else. And for everybody, and we're going to get into Tell Them Why You're Mad here in just a second. But for everybody that was out there that's kind of like, oh, Bryce Young, he played horrible, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, he probably played the best out of the 4 rookie quarterbacks that played. He was the only one that didn't go.
He most definitely played better than all the other.
CJ Stroud just kind of dumped one over there. Anthony Richardson threw like one like straight to it. Like all the other ones, Will Levis threw a pick. And there was a couple of times when Bryce was out there. There was that one, the misread with Laviska Shenault, where I think Shenault went like too deep on the post or whatever. He could have tried to force it. He could have tried to do something because it's preseason, ain't gonna matter. What did Bryce do? He threw it to the sticks out of bounds so nobody else could get to it.
Well, I asked Bryce about that play because from the press box, it looked like it was supposed to be a ball that was directed to go toward the sideline. And
Laviska went the wrong way.
I think Laviska just turned in instead of going out. I don't know if he turned the wrong way, got mixed up. I asked him about it, but he said basically the same answer there. It was like lack of execution, team thing. He didn't blame it on Laviska.
He didn't throw him under the bus. Whereas previously we've had folks like, hey, man, you need to go ask Laviska about that because I don't know what he was doing on that, bro. Like, we would have that kind of answer. So I like that he understands he's the QB1. Like, all the success he's going to get, all the failure that are going to come after him, like him and Frank Reich. Like, you are the faces of this franchise going forward. And he seems to be prepared for it. This last clip from Bryce talks about his toughness, because that was one of the questions that people had going into live action.
Just a handful of plays today, and you think that what you showed today maybe showed you a little tougher than people thought?
Yeah, I feel fine. Physically, I'm blessed. I don't have any. There's nothing that I feel fine now. And again, for me, whatever people may assume or may think is going on or whatever the expectations are, I can't. I don't control that, and those are what they are for me. That's not something that I've put stock into. That's not something that's on my mind. So again, for me, we went out and we didn't execute like we wanted to. So those are the things that I'm looking at that, when we're as a group, we're looking at, we want to improve on, we have to get better at. So, that's really where my focus is.
And all audio that we've used today in the podcast, courtesy of Panthers.com, the Carolina Panthers YouTube channel. I've heard, I don't know if you were in that part of the press box, Schuyler, but when he took that first hit, I've heard that there was an audible gasp in the press box. From everyone, TV personalities, beat writers, like Panther personnel. They were all like, "Oh!" Like
I definitely participated in that. It was
But if he ain't worried about it, I ain't worried about it. He said he don't take stock into none of that nonsense. So everybody stop putting your stock in the fear of whether or not Bryce Young is tough enough, because obviously he is tough.
He can be fine,
and he is the QB1, and he's a professional football player.
And guess what happened on that play too? That was a completion, by the way.
Oh yeah,
that was the throw to Thielen, wasn't it? Yeah. So that was the one where he got blasted.
And he knew he was going to get blasted. He knew he was going to get blasted. He was working left or right. He saw him coming. He said, "All right, I'm gonna just get hit." but let me make sure the ball gets there first.
He's accurate with it. I mean, like, what's not to love about Bryce Young? Which brings me to tell him why you're mad for today.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
I thought I was gonna come in here mad about the Panthers and you didn't score, yada yada yada. And I realized that's a fan take. That is a fan take. And I made the mistake. Schuyler knows this because he's been with me now going on 3 years. Every once in a while after a game, I'll mosey into Facebook and just kind of poke around in groups, just kind of gauge the vibe. It's a totally bad idea. Like horrible, especially if you're doing something like this where you're hosting like a podcast on them, because then it makes it prone where I'm going to attack Panther fans. And that's what I'm going to do right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Y'all have lost your mind.
Be easy on him now.
Like,
Desmond, let's pray before we do this.
Dude, I'm seeing people say fire Frank Reich, bench Bryce Young. What are we doing? Like all this stuff. Like I heard a call that came into Raleigh radio like a day ago where the guy was going on and on about, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. We should at least scored a field goal or something. Like we didn't do anything, blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. And I'm
do
like,
his full accent. Do his full accent.
Frank Reich just told you what they were doing. Nothing. They're not going to run anything. And you're expecting them to run everything. And you didn't get it. And now you're mad. You want to fire Frank Reich on August the 12th. Like after preseason game number 1, we had Panther fans ready to throw in the season, like literally, and they completely forgot all this goodness we've been giving you for a month at training camp. All these glowing reviews about how Bryce Young is looking and Brian Burns is looking great. Dante Jackson came back from injury and looks just as fast, and DJ Chark is killing people, and they're doing fantastic. They go out there and basically just kind of mailed one home against the Jets because it was on TV and you got to see it. It changed your complete perception about what this Panther team is about, what they've been doing, the coaching staff, everything. All it took was one preseason game.
What would we be saying right now, back to Dez's point about them playing well in that joint practice? What if the script was flipped?
They played poorly Wednesday and then they played well Thursday?
Yeah, what if they played well in the preseason game? We wouldn't even be having this conversation.
No.
If you would have saw the joint practice and how bad they were, you'd be overreacting to that. So there's always going to be a bad day, right? It may happen.
I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Tell him, Schuyler.
It could happen during the practice week, or in some cases, like last week, it happened to just be on game day. That's going to happen. You're never going to go out there and play with the preseason 20 games and never have just an absolute flat day. It's going to happen, probably more than once too.
Oh, but the coaches didn't have them prepared. The coaches didn't have them ready. This coaching staff sucks. What are we doing? This is horrible. The Panthers, same old Panthers, blah, blah. It's preseason game number 1, August the 12th. What are we talking about? Like, I see now why my non-Panther friends come down hard on me. I got a message on my phone early Saturday morning. My good buddy, JP, he's a Steelers fan. He does some play-by-play for me. And we joke all the time. And he sent me a message basically saying, so do we need to be ready for overly emotional Desmond around 7:00 today, or just trying to see where you are? And I'm like, actually, no. Like, I don't do that with exhibition games. I'm not like that with NBA Summer League. I don't care the Cavs won it. It means nothing. I don't care about preseason like that. It doesn't mean anything to me in regular season other than me gauging depth at the bottom of the roster pretty much. So 27-0 loss to the Jets August 12th. When the coach is sitting here telling us to our face it was by design and we're still upset about it, like, y'all got to get a grip. Y'all got to get a grip. We can't go
You want to get that bad taste out of your mouth. You want to get it out now.
Yeah.
Not September 24th or whatever. You want to get that out.
Still, it's just y'all got to get a grip on reality here. Like, this isn't a video game. I think that's what it is. We're in this Madden video game mentality. Like, whenever whenever DeAndre Hopkins is free, we should go get him because he's DeAndre Hopkins. Let's just forget that all this other stuff happened over the past 3 years in terms of availability. As soon as he was available, Dalvin Cook, we should go get him. Right now I'm seeing Nick Chubb. We should go get Nick Chubb because he's just kind of out there floating around. We don't know what they're going to do. Let's just bring him here. Like, that kind of stuff is video game mentality to me. And that's what it felt like half the fan base is doing.
I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Y'all got to stop. We can't go till November every other week going up, down emotionally.
Listen.
Y'all are gonna give me a stroke. Y'all give me a stroke at the end of this year if y'all do this to me. Please don't do this to me.
A wise man once said, pleasing everyone, that is impossible. Making everyone pissed off and angry, piece of cake.
I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Watch where
So, you ain't gonna please everybody during preseason. That's not your job.
No.
Coach Reich said the job is to evaluate. Period. Point blank.
Be ready week 1.
They found some
Ready
stuff out,
week
that's for
one.
sure.
There was some bright.
Everyone found some stuff out.
Yeah, there's some stuff. Yeah, there's some stuff. They need to see some things. And I'd rather see the things they saw August 12th than September 11th. Like I'd rather see them in a game that doesn't count in the end.
Yeah,
and people looked at it like it counted. And let me put you like the Baltimore Ravens. I think they won this past week. They got like a 24 or 25 game preseason winning streak.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean? Like, what is that? Do they get a bonus? Do they get like a candy or something? Like, what do they get for going undefeated in the preseason for like 5 years? Like, how does it translate in the regular
Desmond,
season?
I want you to find some really. You got some music.
What am I
read you? I need to read you something. A nice quote that you can just look back on.
You want something
when you
upbeat?
get frustrated?
You want something?
No, just something
mellow?
nice and mellow, like one of those commercials. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh man, I've got like Kid and Play
like
right now.
a sad and inspirational.
Hold on, I'm working on something here. Okay.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, Desmond, I just want to tell you, man, whenever you're going through some hard trials this season, and you're hearing things that you don't want to hear from people, they blowing you up in your DMs, on your Twitter, all that, and you just want to blow up. Just remember this. Be yourself. You can't please everyone. They own their thoughts, their reactions, their own beliefs. So instead of feeling stressed and frustrated, just be yourself and welcome the peace and happiness that will come your way. Blessings, my friend.
I thought he was going to rattle off a phone number there at the end.
Donations are accepted. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Feel better now?
Yeah, I do. I do feel better. And like I said, I'm glad we waited because we were going to do this Sunday. And if it was Sunday, the whole like hour would have been just me just ranting on Panther fans. We've had a show like that before, like last year, I think, where it was just I couldn't take it anymore. It's like y'all got to just be quiet. Don't say anything. You're driving me nuts. But yeah, I'm glad we waited a couple days because it gave me a couple days to sleep on it. I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
Panther fans, y'all are emotional. I get it. I told you, you've gone through
a rough ride. It's been a rough ride.
Yeah, it's been a rough 3 or 4 years for Panther Nation. And you thought, hey, we're gonna go out and show the world, hey, this is a different thing, and then bam, 27-0. Yeah. And you're just like, I mean, what am I supposed to be happy about here? Just be happy the game's over. Be happy that be happy that we got out of it healthy.
Be happy guys are healthy.
Yeah. Everybody got out fine. Bryce took a hit. You were worried about him taking a hit. Bounced right back up. Second down. You know what I mean? Like there was things to pull from it. Now, that happens again on Friday, like another 27-0 or something like that.
Talk about.
Now, okay, we got to start because I would think they're going to open up the playbook a little bit, right? Or do they even do that, Stu? Like when you go from preseason game 1 to preseason game 2, do you see a little bit more of the playbook, or is it still kind of the same?
I mean, you kind of want to throw some wrinkles out there, but not too much. I mean, I think to Reich's point, like they're a new coaching staff, so no one's ever seen anything from them. So that's an advantage for them going into the regular season. If they can harness as much as they can and not show anything, and then just week 1 come out guns blazing.
Against Atlanta, conference
against Atlanta, like, they're not gonna know what to expect.
And it feels like that's what Frank is alluding to. Like he doesn't want to show Atlanta anything. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't want to show anything. I mean, think about it. If you playing cards, would you want to show your hand?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I want you to know what that. And it felt like it too. And there was key people that didn't play. Miles Sanders, starting running back, did not play. Brian Burns, starting DE, best defense player we probably got, did not play. Like, I mean, there's just it wasn't the official Carolina Panthers Sunday starting lineup that they're going to roll out with in 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. So
yeah,
it was just let them do their just let them do their thing, man. Let them put this team together. you can be mad all you want September 11th if they lose 27-0 to the Falcons. I'll be there right there.
Relax, people. He's in the kitchen. He's cooking, so be quiet.
Let Frank Reich cook. Please, let him cook this thing real quick. They're in here complaining. He just got back from the store. He ain't even started cooking.
We've talked all off season about how experienced this staff is, right?
Yeah.
If you go back to the coaching staff from last year, I would understand the concern after one preseason game. We're talking over 200 years of NFL coaching experience.
Yeah.
Not just coaching, NFL coaching experience. If there's one staff that you should trust in to get it right, it's this one.
Especially after Frank said in the beginning of his press conference, hey, look, basically what he said was, look, I played this game long enough to understand that this score might alarm you people, but it's not alarming me. I've seen this happen before, and I'm not worried about it. Preseason has existed all of our lives, so get over it.
That 25-game win streak the Ravens have has not even led them to a conference championship appearance. Like it doesn't mean anything. It's just some kind of. I didn't even know they were keeping track of it. I think I heard of it like a year ago or 2 years ago that they were undefeated. I didn't realize they still were, and like for some reason they take it serious. And I saw
they are getting evaluations, and it's good that they evaluated that game.
Yeah, they're getting on tape and everything. The main thing that bothered me the most, and this is probably the last one for me here. See, I'm over here throwing equipment and stuff around.
I just gave you a nice message earlier, man. Just calm down.
I saw it was a clip of Pat Mahomes. It was a clip of Pat Mahomes celebrating a Chiefs touchdown during their preseason game. And someone had posted it from like a Panthers thing. They were like, see, this is the difference between winning and losing. The Chiefs actually care about this game. And I'm like, huh?
No, no one says that. No one says that. Listen, no one is saying that no one cares about winning.
Yeah.
We want to win. They wanted to go out there and win. They just didn't. And they wanted to go out and win under the evaluation standard that they had for their team.
You think that offensive line
we ain't about to run all our plays?
Yeah, you think that offensive line wants to be in the position they were in Saturday afternoon when it was over, and the entire Panther fan base was pointing at them like, you, you and you and you, all of you all are bad. You all need to be fired. Like that's basically what the offensive line's going through right now. So they're probably having a week at practice, I would think, Schuyler. They sounds like they're probably getting ran a lot. Or not ran. That's the old school run. Hit the scoreboard thing, but
yeah. Yesterday they were themselves, and today they were in pads. So tomorrow's a walkthrough. So it's actually somewhat of a light week because of the game being on Friday. But yeah, they're definitely being held accountable.
I will be in Raleigh calling a high school football game same time, so I won't be able to see it live. I'll have to watch it when I get back. Eric Jones Hill says, better get ready for the angry Panther fans Friday for this vanilla cake play calling. Yeah.
Listen,
the Giants aren't
the
Giants.
Everybody just woosah.
Deep breath. It's preseason. It's August.
This is the first time that a preseason game has gone south. I mean, and teams have recovered from them. I promise you.
Yeah. And just like last year, we beat the Bills 27-0. How did that turn out for us? Like it didn't really matter in any way. Like you all forgot about that. Literally.
Let's talk about something. Let's talk about something right quick.
What's up?
Zeke to the Patriots.
Ooh, okay.
What's gonna happen when he goes to the Patriots?
Well, they were only using him for short yardage in Dallas last year. I think he had like 800 something yards total, but he had like 12 touchdowns. I don't know. He's not the lead back.
I just feel like Bill not gonna. I don't know. Like,
are we
the running backs? I mean, LeGarrette Blount was the only one that really sticks out to me as of late. That was treated. No, that was that. I'm talking about as of late.
Yeah,
that was like way back. When I was in high school.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
But like,
maybe you catch it straight.
But like, I've been obviously running back position. I worry for him because I don't really see Bill treating the running back position as it should be treated up there.
That's when they were winning.
Times.
That's when they were winning, like running the football, the defense.
When they were running the ball, LeGarrette, that was the last time that I really like. You can really tip their hat off to like, oh, that's their guy, or these are their two guys, or like this is what they do with that backfield.
Oh, that's the elephant in the room because we're getting close to that point now with Brady being retired, and I think Belichick's just trying to get to the all-time win record before he decides to do whatever because he's real close to it. Was it Brady or was it Belichick? Because it's starting to feel like it was Brady. Because like
it was definitely Brady.
You know what I mean? Like, and Belichick's the recipient of it. Like, because he hasn't been to the playoffs since Brady left, right?
Yeah, it was definitely Brady, and Bill was able to do a lot of things that a lot of coaches weren't able to do because he had Brady.
Right.
Like, command the room and all that kind of stuff because he had Tom Brady.
And Brady grew. Like, if you remember Brady from when he first got there, he was basically just a game manager, like thinking doink type of quarterback. By the time 10, 12 years went by, you're talking about him and Randy Moss and Wes Welker and him throwing for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. And like he grew into Tom Brady or whatever. I think that was around the time when it was like, I did not care for Tom Brady. Like, I actually hated Tom Brady after the 03 Super Bowl, especially. But I grew to respect him right around 08, 09, that Patriots team that went undefeated and then lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. But it was hard to not like him. Well, it was hard to not respect him. Like, you're just too good. He's just too good, like at everything. So, I don't know. We'll see. But that's an interesting thing with are you going with the Jets in the AFC East? Because you were saying you're really high on them. Schuyler, I think you lost.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think the Jets, the way they played last year, they were in the talks throughout the whole season, and they didn't have the quarterback play needed, and so I think everyone's pretty familiar with that feeling of just having just enough, but not enough at quarterback. And they got that now. They definitely are stacked on defense. The coaching staff is solid. The fan base is excited. I mean, that's really the recipe.
Yeah. I'm still kind of juggling it. Schuyler, would you pick the Jets to win the AFC East after seeing them up close in person and then after what happened Saturday?
I'm always a guy that likes to see somebody like remove somebody before I actually go with another team. Like the Bills are the clear favorite in my opinion. Yeah. Until someone knocks them off, I think you got to go with the Bills. But I think the Jets are right there. Like,
they're similar defense for sure.
I think they missing some. They're gonna miss who's the linebacker from last year for the Bills? They let go.
I can't remember either. For the Jets, their offensive line might be the only weak spot that I'm seeing. They might need to plug somebody in, but there's really nobody out there, so I don't know where they would go get a guy. But there'll be cuts actually, probably after week 2, week 3 of preseason, where somebody might become available. The Jets might pick them up. But getting
Tremaine Edmonds
from Buffalo,
Buffalo Bills.
Miami might win that division. Miami might have the best skill position players in that whole division. With
maybe, but they don't get a quarterback.
Yeah, quarterback might be in and out.
Ooh, really? Y'all giving up
on Tua? But I'm just telling you.
Y'all giving up on Tua?
I'm not giving up on Tua. I don't really think they have a management program that is taking care of their situation.
They did kind of do my man wrong last year. Like, that one where he got hit and looked like he couldn't control.
Hey, you're okay. Shake it off. Get back in there.
Get back out there. Get back out there. So like, Miami got next one on. And then there's New England, where it's like I don't want to count them out because it's New England, but this ain't the same New England that we was counting out before and would always
definitely don't got a quarterback.
Nah, y'all give up on Mac Jones? Like
I was never.
I don't like Mac Jones. I mean, I like him. I have nothing against Mac Jones as a person, as a player in the NFL and whatnot. But like, if he's not my, he
came from Alabama too. I think he has the record for completion percentage. It wasn't like something crazy, like 80% or something nuts. Like when he came out,
I'm a Bryce Young type of guy,
I mean, he also did have the greatest
Waddle and your boy
Ruggs
on the Heisman. Devontae Smith. He had a bunch of dudes at wide receiver. So there was one year where he had there was 4 dudes. They ended up being first round wide receiver picks from Alabama that are just terrorizing the league right now. And they were getting balls thrown to them by Jalen Hurts and then Mac Jones. So I mean, It's Alabama. That's why I'm not worried about Bryce Young. Like, I haven't heard Nick Saban say a bad thing about Bryce Young ever that I can think of. You know,
Before we go, my brain works like crazy, by the way.
Yeah.
I want you guys to know, like, I have had like 5,000 thoughts in the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But what injury update? Schuyler? With Terrace Marshall.
Yeah.
What's up with him?
So we haven't heard anything on that yet. He was getting, I think, I don't know if it was an MRI or scan. I don't know. He got something done yesterday. So we haven't heard anything back on that. We do get Frank tomorrow morning, I think at 11 or 11:30. So we should know by then, but it didn't seem like it was anything serious, but I'm always careful in saying that because it may end up being something serious and then I'm wrong. But it was weird because when he was walking off the field, initially I thought it was a leg injury or a knee, ankle, something like that, because he had a pretty significant limp. And then when he got on the cart, he laid down. You couldn't even see him. And I'm like, what the heck? So I had no idea what it was. So apparently it was a back, but
yeah, I saw it was his back. So
yeah.
I'm not sure what, maybe pulled something. Or, I don't know. We're just speculating.
Don't be surprised if he doesn't play Friday.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not. That listen, Carolina Panthers. If he says he can play, don't play him, please.
Yeah. Bro, we're gonna let you sit. Matter of fact, in the next game is week 3, so you might not see.
Let's just wait until the Atlanta Falcons game, please.
Yeah, you might as well sit down, player, because you ain't playing.
He's dealt with a lot of stuff too, injury wise, his first couple of years. So he's got he's someone you want to have healthy going into the year.
Yeah.
Anything else I want to touch on before we hop out of here? The Panthers do play the Giants 7:00 Friday night, if I'm not mistaken. You should go catch it on local TV, Panthers radio network. I'm trying to think. That's pretty much it. I mean, that was mainly it. I just wanted to let the Panther fan base know, chill out, please.
Relax.
Chill out. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Drink some water. The heat's getting to you.
You're not even gonna remember this game in a month. Like, I promise.
Re-listen. If you do get to that point, though, go back and watch this episode where Stu gave that nice infomercial.
That's right.
Yes,
I'm gonna clip it. I'm gonna clip it so we have it out, because y'all need something just
relax.
Something to go back to,
Can't please everybody.
Yeah, because y'all gonna. I'm telling you, man, they're gonna give me a stroke before the season's over, man.
Nah, man. Hey, nah. Knock on the wood. Desmond, go drink your water. Make sure you get up in the morning, go on a walk.
You know, on Space Jam, Mike's special stuff or whatever. This is going to be Stu's stuff.
Yeah. You get the bottle for next week. You get the bottle.
Hey, every time I have to cue it up, let me just cue it up for you, dog.
That's Stu's special sauce. So we're gonna head out of here. We're actually, I'm not sure when we're on next week, because high school football starts next week across North Carolina. And I have something every evening. So the evening shows are about to end. So we got to figure out a day during the week, probably earlier in the week. I think we were doing like Tuesdays and Fridays in season last year, but I don't know how feasible that is. I know, Schuyler, Tuesday's an off day for you with the Panthers, right? Isn't that how it went?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we were doing them on Tuesdays. We'll kind of figure it out. But just subscribe to youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. If you do that, it'll give you a notification for when I punch it in for when we are going to go on. Those that have done that, you probably noticed I move the times as we go. So it gives you a better idea of when it's going to be coming on. And if you missed the live one, you can always just listen to it on the Bleav Podcast Network. Go follow them at Bleav Podcast. Bleav Network on Twitter, or you can just watch it over the Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube channel. We're going to get out of here for the week. Get ready for week 2 preseason Panthers versus Giants, week 2, 7:00 Friday. For Schuyler, Callihan, and Jonathan Stewart, this is Desmond Johnson. You've been listening and watching the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast on Bleav Podcast Networks, brought to you by Bet Online. Peace.